Okay, well, those are tough acts to follow, particularly for someone this small. First, I'd like to say thank you to Joanne and all the other people from Jepson who have created what Ron Heifetz would call a holding space for us to talk safely and articulately and thoughtfully about important issues. And second, I'd like to say thank you and how happy I am to see all my colleagues and friends who go way, way back in my own life, probably beginning with Georgia. I'd like to say how happy I am that Jack Berenstain is here with his wife and who is going to receive the award shortly. So we're all enlarged by your work. And this panel, when I looked at the program, I totally misunderstood it. I saw the word groups, and I thought that just meant all these things down below with the different groups. I didn't understand that was the title of our group, okay? So that sort of blew me away because I haven't really done a lot on groups since Hal Levitt and I worked on hot groups around 2000. So I sent up several frantic emails to Don Forsythe, who kindly calmed me down, saying, "Oh, talk about anything." And that sort of calmed me down. He said, "You don't have to prepare. We're just discussing." Even more calm, almost somnolent at that point. But as I thought about it, and I thought groups, then I thought, really, come to think of it, I've become rather obsessed myself with a rather large group. And that group is...
Excuse me just a second. I want to make sure that your mic is on. Because we can't hear you. It's not on.
It's not that on. Hey, Nancy.
It's
time out.
I'm so sorry. We want to be sure we can hear you.
She should get some bonus minutes for this.
Definitely.
We just raised the volume a bit.
Better.
Yeah, because I don't think it was on when we were speaking either.
It's just these mics calls in there.
Thank you. I'm sorry to
Okay,
interrupt.
that's okay. Well, for those of you who didn't hear what I said, you missed nothing. But I have become, I realize, rather obsessed with a fairly large group, the world. It doesn't get much larger than that. But last night, when I mentioned this to some of my table mates at the restaurant, they laughed rather heartily. Some, I think, in total disbelief, actually. So I thought, well, maybe I should change my topic for today. And they said, oh, no, it would give all of us a good laugh. Go right ahead. So nonetheless, that brings me to this moment, which I face with considerable trepidation, given that. Well, as Dick Kutu and Georgia know, and some others too, that in the last several years, I've begun to ask the question, leadership for what? And as advancing age inclines me more and more to talk to myself, I've increasingly answered my own question, mostly sotto voce, to keep it, to keep myself in the world of the living. And the answer for me, at least, is a connective leadership strategy for global, enduring, and success. And I say a connective leadership strategy because connective leaders, if you really boil it down to its very essence, are the people who can look at two groups, this side and this side, and see the diversity, but also the interdependence between the groups. But they can see that those are contradictory forces. They pull in opposite directions. Diversity talks about uniqueness, who we are as individuals, how distinct we are, And interdependence talks about mutuality, overlap, collaboration. So connective leaders are people who know how not to set this group on an attack of that group, but how to make it a love fest, or not quite, but how to bring you together. So I have been thinking about a plan, and let me say that this plan, I suggest this to you today as a work in progress. I consider it, I would like to see it be crowdsourced. And what I mean by that is that I see it as putting out a set of ideas and hoping people will come up with other ideas and correctives and additions and whatever. And this plan requires this plan has a piece for every sector of society, and I hope, and for every society, so that I hope that every nation will look at it, adapt it, and sign on to it. Amend it, but sign on to it. And adapt it to their special circumstances, because what's good in the U.S. may be totally irrelevant someplace else. And I discovered this talking to some young people by Skype in the Netherlands when we were talking about this very issue. So please remember this is a work in progress, and it's designed to be crowdsourced. But as Drew Faust reminds us, occasionally in the course of human events, a transformative goal moves through 3 stages, from an impossible dream to an imperative demand to inevitable destiny. And I believe that global, enduring, and sustainable peace is one such ineffable goal. Not because I think it is, but from watching the world and watching what's going on in the world. Watching Arab Spring, watching how that played out, watching the Occupy movement. So many things that are happening. I think, as I'll say in a few minutes, that the time is right. But since writing and thinking about connective leadership, beginning quite some time ago, I've increasingly thought that the fundamental purpose of leadership is to identify ennobling enterprises and to invite other people to participate in those enterprises, so that by doing so, they serve society and they also create deeper meaning in their own lives. So that question about what does my life mean, what am I doing here, has a serious and profound answer. Ron Heifetz says that an issue has to be ripe. I'm getting a 3-minute signal, and that's bad. I believe that you counted the extra minutes, right? And I think the historical moment has to be right. I think technology has to be right. I would never have suggested this 5 years ago, before Twitter and Facebook, etc. But these social processes, history tells us, go on unremittingly forever. They have an arc as it happens. So we have a rather short timeline in which, as Cleopatra wrote on the only document that has a real signature, make it happen. So let me quickly start with the 3-point, I'll start at the end. You know, people who talk to themselves do weird things. They start at the end instead of the beginning. Let me give you the quick 3-point implementation strategy. 1, technology, I've already intimated this, using Twitter, using Facebook, etc. But then second, we need some international body that's respected, be it the Nobel Prize Committee or whatever, to bring together the nations of the world, to ask them to amend this plan to apply to themselves, to sign on to it with timelines. Third, and in the intervening years, they will come back every other year to report. In the intervening years, the sectors come back, the education sector, the health sector, the arts, media, etc. And then, at the suggestion of my young friend, Alette Bartmans from the Netherlands, Ted Bartman's daughter, some of you may know, she suggested we create a to-do list. And then I got excited by that and said, yeah, it should be something like a huge jigsaw puzzle, but with different sized pieces. So we could all elect to take the little piece or the big piece that we thought we could do ourselves. So every plan, there's a little bit of the plan in the plan for everyone and every sector. So let me just tell you one, and I will try to do it in as fast as possible. One, let's talk about governments for the moment, or let's talk about the U.S. government and think about this being adapted. Create a Department of Peace using half of the Department of Defense's budget. Plus, creating a linking body called the Joint Council for Defending Peace. And that would serve as the blood vessel between the two departments. Second, declare the defense industry, which is the second largest industry in the world, to be non-profit. Think about that for a minute. And then the defense industry can convert itself to a for-profit peace industry. Peace entrepreneurship, peace innovation, peace R&D. Think about Kennedy asking us to go to the moon in 10 years. Think about how that turned the economy around, how it energized it. Think about this as an engine for economists here. You can laugh me out of the room. But think about it as analogous to that, as a way of energizing our economy and the world economy. I won't go on. At this fragile moment in history, I believe the yearning, not only for good leadership, but for global and enduring peace, is emerging worldwide as a response, as a resounding imperative. The burning question is, will we have the courage and the determination from that imperative yearning into inevitable destiny? Thank you.